Alright, so today, this video is all about York this week. Obviously, we've got a bunch of Group 1s in the Juddmonte International, the City of York, the Nunthorpe, and the Yorkshire Oaks, as well as plenty of other, Group 2s, Group 3s, listed races. And I've had a look at the weather forecast too. I'm a bit of a weatherman, and there is a bit of rain around, so it'll be interesting to see whether we get maybe a soft track on one of the days. I picked out a few horses for this meeting that, will run better if it's a soft track, that sort of thing. Although, my main ones are based on good tracks. So we'll start off. Obviously, day one, we got the Akuma Stakes, which is a pretty good race for the 2-year-olds. Some good horses have won it in the past. However, it's not like a race I'm that massively interested in, so I'll probably skip that one. But the Great Voltigeur Stakes is a really good race, 1.5 miles for, those Derby horses, maybe horses that are getting ready for the St. Leger in a few weeks at Doncaster. And then obviously the race of the meeting, the Juddmonte International, 1.25 miles, Group 1, Ombudsmen versus Constitution River. The clash of the generations, I like to think of it as. We'll start off with the Great Voltigeur. As I said, really good race to be fair. Lots of good horses. The favourite's Maltese Cross, who is a really, really nice horse. He, came second at Epsom on that really bad track. And I remember prior to the race, William Haggis said that he needs good ground. He was kind of insinuating that the horse wouldn't run well, on the wet track at Epsom. And then he came second, and then won the Grand Prix de Paris last start at Longchamp. So he's a serious horse, although he's carrying a penalty, so I'll probably look away from him because I think there's other really good horses here too. Pierre Bonnard, now he's so interesting. He was a Group 1 winner as a 2-year-old, winning that 1.25 mile race at Saint-Cloud towards the end of the season. And then obviously, he hasn't really done that much as a 3-year-old. I mean, obviously Benvenuto Cellini is the number 1 seed in that division of horses for that stable, but I think he's a really good horse, and I think he comes here carrying, he's not carrying a penalty compared to Christmas Day and Maltese Cross. And I think if Ryan Moore chooses him, which I think he will, although I don't know, it's kind of tricky because obviously Christmas Day, he won the Epsom Derby, so I could see Ryan maybe riding him. But if Ryan Moore chooses Pierre Bonnard, he's probably going to be my pick for the race, to be honest. I think he's a really good stayer. He's by Camelot, so really proper 1.5 mile sort of horse. Might even be a St. Leger horse, to be honest. Although I think Christmas Day is the favourite for that race, or one of the top 3 in the market for the St. Leger. But yeah, I think Pierre Bonnard's a nice horse, and I think him not having a penalty is a massive advantage here. He should be fine on good or soft ground, obviously. As I touched on before, he won that Group 1 as a 2-year-old on a very soft track in France, so he should be fine if there's a bit of rain. But at the same time, he's got okay form on good ground too, so he'll be my pick for that race. But I'll talk about some of these others. Obviously, Christmas Day won that Epsom Derby on a really wet track where none of the good horses really fired. Then you've got likes of Superior Choice, owned by Yulong, I believe, who have, obviously they've got horses all over the world, including in Australia. Won that race at Hamilton last start, although, not a really strong race, and this is obviously a massive jump up in class. Although 9-2, obviously someone fancies it out there. I feel like that's quite short for that horse. And then we'll continue to Galleon and Limestone, who are more sort of St. Leger horses. I think they're here as a bit of a preparation run for that race. Obviously, a lot of horses last year went to it, like we saw, like Carmers. I think Lambourne went there as well. So yeah, these are probably horses that won't be sharp enough for 1.5 miles, but they might finish off well, and then they might be favoured more for the St. Leger. And then that should be it for this race. Obviously, makes it a little bit hard when Coolmore don't clear up which horses are going here, but I think it's going to be Pierre and Christmas Day, and I hope Pierre's the number 1 seed because he'll be my pick for this race. I think he's a nice horse. We'll go to the next race now. This is the feature race of the whole meeting, let's face it. Juddmonte International, Group 1. Some champions have won this in the past, like Ombudsmen, City of Troy. It's just one of those amazing races in Europe, one of the best races in the world. I remember the year when City of Troy won. It was literally like one of the best races I've seen. There was just so many good horses. Kalpana, obviously, was dominant at Ascot. Then he goes to the Juddmonte and, puts the sword to City of Troy in that race. And then City of Troy just showed how great he was. But that's a bit off topic. Juddmonte International, Ombudsman versus Constitution River. Now let's have a talk about the two. Ombudsman won the race last year. He's won 2 Prince of Wales stakes. And arguably the one he won this year, was his best career performance. He beat some world-class horses in Mini Hawk, Darriz. I think there were a few other horses in there that are pretty good. And he won by 4 lengths. Like, that was a serious performance when he won that Prince of Wales last start. He's such a good, like, he's a champion. Like, he's in champion territory, I think. And I find it really hard to visualize Constitution River beating him here. Obviously, he's a gun 3-year-old. He hasn't done anything wrong this year. He won the Eclipse, although the whole race was set up for that horse, which is why I kind of downgrade the race a little bit. Although it's like a open age Group 1, and he won. So like, he's very good, but like, I think the Prince of Wales form is way stronger. Although prior to that he won the French Derby. He's obviously the top dog in these 3-year-olds in this 3-year-old division. But this is Ombudsmen we're talking about, like serious horse. And like, he's at the end of being a 5-year-old, he's at the absolute peak of his powers. So I'm going to be going with Ombudsman. I think it's going to be an interesting tactical race because Hawk Mountain's entered, and I think he might sit like 2nd or 3rd. I think there'll be another Ballydoyle horse here, or maybe like what's that horse called? Action, who might go like really hard up front, like we saw in the King George. And obviously Devil's Advocate's going to go pretty hard as well. So I think we'll probably see a pretty hot tempo, but maybe Hawk Mountain could really like bring Constitution River into the race, because I think Hawk Mountain is like a Group 1 horse, but obviously he's in the shadow of Constitution River in that hierarchy, so it's a bit tricky. Obviously Zaydan comes here, following the Darriz route from last year, going from French black type races to the Juddmonte. Obviously Darriz bombed out, but it wasn't too bad for him because he won the Arc 2 starts later. So maybe that they're testing this horse out. Obviously he's a 4-year-old. He seems like a bit of a late developing sort of horse, Zaydan. Obviously like you'd expect him to run in some bigger races by now, but he might be interesting, especially if the track's wet. Now I've got a bit of a theory here. I think obviously Ombudsman and Constitution River, like, it's been a very dry summer, so these horses have only really shown what they can do on good ground. But if there's a bit of rain, we get a soft track. I think Hawk Mountain is the horse to be on here. I could see some like weird shit happening, wet ground, like bit of rain, and then Hawk Mountain, who won the Futurity Trophy Group 1 on a shit slop track as a 2-year-old. Obviously a pretty weak race, but he still won on a heavy track, and prior to that he won on a soft track at the Curragh. So I think if we see a wet track, I'm going to go with Hawk Mountain. If you've seen my previews before, like, that I don't like backing second stringers. I'll never back something that, Wayne Lorden is riding or Christophe Soumillon's riding for Cornwall. But I could just see some weird shit happening. We've seen it this year so many times where Wayne Lorden was, the winner over Ryan Moore, who was meant to be the better horse, like, the 1,000 Guineas. I think there was another race. I forget which one. It was another high-profile race. It might be in the Epsom Derby, actually, yeah. But yeah, I think if there's a wet track, I'll have a bet on Hawk Mountain. If it's a good track, I'll have a bet on Ombudsman. I think he's a top dog. I love this horse. But if it's a wet track, I think his tyres might just spin a little bit too much, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's it for day 1. We'll go to Thursday. There's a few good races here. Obviously the Lowther Stakes. I won't go into too much detail here because it's a really competitive race. But Libertango is the favourite, who won in amazing fashion at Ascot, then came second to Senorita Bonita, who heads to the Pre-Morning. I think that might be this weekend or the weekend after. So, nice horse Libertango. Although, there's why didn't she win last start? That's kind of a bit of a puzzle, but I think she's a good horse. I think she'll be really good here. But the other horse I like here, not Moonrise. I think she's a nice filly, but I don't know if she's going here, but Velozee, 3rd in the Group 1 last start, the Group 1 Phoenix Stakes, behind Sun Goddess. And I feel like if she's going to go here, like, that seems like a huge price at 16-1. I think, 3rd in a Group 1, like, against the Colts, that's a massive effort. And so, I could see if she goes here, I'll probably have a bet, although, judging by the price, maybe she isn't. Maybe that's just what it is. But if she doesn't go here, it'll just be Libertango. I think she's a really nice horse. Obviously, if it's a wet track, it'll be a no bet race. But Libertango, she's done a lot of stuff right to start off her career. Obviously, including that win at Royal Ascot in the Albany. So it's a nice horse, Libertango. We'll go to the next one now. I think it is the Yorkshire Oaks. Yeah, a mile and a half, Group 1. Solid race this year. Obviously, it kind of fell away last year, I remember. Obviously, Mini Hawk won, but there was like 5 runners in it, I think. Obviously, it was like Mini Hawk, Estrange. I'm not sure if Kalpana went. I'm not too sure. I don't think she did. I think it came too soon after that King George second place. But obviously, she's a better horse this year. She won the King George this year. Amazing win. I didn't think she was capable of that, to be honest, but she surprised everyone, and she's one of the sweethearts of UK racing, Kalpana. She's won 3 Group 1s now, I believe. And yeah, she comes here off the back of the biggest win in her career. And I think she's a massive chance. Obviously, Mini Hawk comes here too, but I really thought after that 3-year-old season she was going to be absolutely undefeatable this year, but she just hasn't been. Obviously, she was the second stringer last start in the King George and beaten 18 lengths. What has happened to this horse? She ran second in the Arc last year. Oh my God. And now she just isn't the same horse. Although, she could bounce back here because a mile and a half is her troop. You can kind of forgive her for one bad run, but oh my God, I thought she'd be like this absolute beast this year and she hasn't been, so that's kind of annoying. And that's also because they were trying to make her into like a 10 furlong horse, which, was never going to work. I thought she's a mile and a half horse. That's where her best form has come from. So, yeah, I hope Mini Hawk runs well, but I don't know. Kalpana is absolutely humming at the moment. So, and there's some other good horses here too, like Johanna Walsh. Obviously, won the Irish Oaks last start. Ran really well at Ascot. Obviously, came out of a maiden race at Leopardstown, and then almost won that Ribblesdale, that Group 2. So, she's a really good horse. And that was a really rapid turn of foot last start in the Irish Oaks. She's very formidable, this horse, but I'm not too sure how good the 3-year-old fillies are this year, to be honest. So if I was going to have a bet, I'd have something on Kalpana or Mini Hawk or one of these older horses. You got the likes of Taddy Coram, who produced a really good performance last start, beating Tiffany, who has subsequently won a Group 1 in Germany. So that form's gone pretty well. Although, I'm not too sure. I think she's not good enough. Compared to Kalpana and Mini Hawk, she's just, probably a few tiers below the top dogs, if you know what I mean. And then Innes Moore comes from that Irish Oaks sort of form. She actually ran very well there, to be honest. I thought she was under the pump. No, what happened? She was pulling quite a bit early on in the race, and I thought she was just going to run nowhere, but she ran really well. Obviously still beaten 4 lengths, but I think she's a really handy horse. The winner of that race, Johanna Walsh. So, she might run well here. Obviously, David Manoussier, he's very once he gets these good fillies, he wants to run them in all these big races. We saw it with Tam Farner, who, did go on to be a Group 1 winner. But, I think, could run an okay race. But I think, as I said before, I'm not too sure about the 3-year-old fillies. I think, there's a bit of criticism in that division, how strong it is this year. But Kalpana is going to be my bet for this race. She'll be fine regardless of the ground. She's won the fillies and mares race at Ascot on Champions Day twice. The first year was slop. The ground was slop that year. And yeah, she's had other good performances on soft ground too. Obviously, won the King George. Obvious bet here, to be honest. Mini Hawk isn't as good as I wanted her to be this year, so that'll be it. And another thing about Kalpana too, which is a bit of a negative, is all her best performances have come at Ascot, where there's a bend, it's a bit of a shorter straight. And I could just see the long straights, like York, obviously Newbury. I feel like the long straights might find her out a bit. I feel like that sustained run she just doesn't have. She needs that bend to kick off into, if that makes sense. So that could be the negative, but I think she's just too good. Obviously King George winner, so she's got to be the main bet for the Yorkshire Oaks. Now we go on to Friday. Still, yes, a very good day of racing. The Lonsdale Cup, I'll talk about first. Pretty solid race, to be fair. Obviously, the news came out early this week that Trawlerman was retiring. And, what an absolutely stellar career he's had. He's won a Gold Cup. Obviously came second to Kyprios a lot, but, like if you took away Kyprios, this horse is an absolute champion. Like he's been around for such a long time. Obviously, had that absolute war with Scandinavia at Ascot in the Gold Cup this year. But he's an older horse. They've been very public about the issues they've had with him. Obviously, with his sunglasses that he wears in the parade ring. So he's obviously not right. And he's had an amazing career and doesn't owe anyone anything. So I'm kind of glad that they retired him, to be honest. But we'll talk about this race a little bit. Cabello de Mar, Group 1 winner, carries a penalty. Won that Prix-Vicomtesse Viguier, I think that's a race. And then obviously had that little problem in the Ascot Gold Cup. He was, in the race for a long way. And then he just stopped at like the 100 metre mark, which was kind of scary to see because I really like the horse, He came from literally like handicaps at Fosslas and fucking like the most random shit races to being a Group 1 winner in the space of 2 years, which no horse does pretty much. So, I like the horse, but I think carrying a penalty and that little issue he had last start at Ascot, I just worry about him a little bit. Amilock is just a really terrible price, if I'm being honest. Like, he's done fuck all this year. I'm sorry. Like, he's a nice horse, but he hasn't done much. And obviously, his best form last year came over, a bit shorter distances, 1.5 miles, 2,800 metres in the Irish Ledger. So, yeah, really baffling price, to be honest, for Amilock. Although, I guess people are thinking that, if he, keeps the jockey on this time and, runs to the best of his ability, he might be there in the finish, which I kind of get, but I'm not subscribing to. Lambourne is entered. I'm not really sure if he'll get 2 miles, to be honest. He ran okay, in the St. Ledger last year. But I'm not really sure, like, really 2 miles is his troop. Obviously, dual Derby winner. And I swear he ran really well on the King George. Like, why are they going to 2 miles with him? I'm not too sure, honestly. Now, I'll talk about the ones that I like in this race. Carmers is one of them. Now, obviously, 4,000 metres was too far last start at Ascot. But prior to that, he won a 2 mile listed race at Down Royal. Obviously not a very strong race, but, he's got a win over 2 miles, which shows us that he'll get the distance, essentially. And he won the Queen's Vase last year at Ascot, so he's a good horse. He's won some good races. And I think if he gets a good ground, he could be hard to beat here, to be honest. I've said my issues with the top horses in the market. And I like Carmers. I think he's a really good horse. He ran okay in the Voltigeur last year. 1.5 miles was a little bit sharp for him. But, he comes here 2 miles. And obviously it'll be a much easier race compared to Ascot last start. And he'll be a bet here if it's good ground. Obviously, we've seen him on soft in the St. Ledger and he didn't run that well. Betting 3 1/4 lengths, but still, like, he's obviously got better ground. Better results on a firm or good track. So, yeah, Carmers will be my bet here. Al Nye's a good horse, very good 2 miler. Although he's just, he's getting on a little bit. And I like Carmers more. I think he's a better horse, and the timing of the race in their careers, I think it's better suited to Carmers. But yeah, that's about it for this race. And Columbus too, that's going to be interesting. Comes from a Galway, but he maiden hurdle to a Group 2, and it's like Willie Mullins. Like, this horse could just like do anything pretty much. And Quick Thorn comes back too at the age of 9, which I guess is kind of cool, but he's been away from the game for a long time. But yeah, Carmers will be my pick for the Lonsdale Cup. We'll go to the next one. I think it's the Gimcrack Stakes, 6 furlongs, 2-year-olds. Yeah, as I said, like 2-year-olds, I won't spend that much time on, but Arapaho Gold's the favourite. Now, it's one of the few good rides of Connor Beasley, who is such a good jockey but doesn't get very many opportunities, which is why it's good that he gets loads in Dubai. He won 2 Group 1s there early this year on World Cup night, so he's a really good jockey but doesn't get the opportunities. But he might have a good one here in Arapaho Gold, who won last start in a listed race at Newbury. Adaay of Scarlett, oh my god, I'm going to do this to myself again, aren't I? I'm going to have a bet on this horse. And it's going to come second again, because this horse is just prone to running second in Group 2s, like, seriously. But he has to win one of these, like surely. Like, this is the form horse every single time. A lot of my betting is based around where the strongest form is, and he seems to be that horse every time, and he just comes up short. So, I'm going to do this to myself again, and he's going to come second again. But he might also win, because, there's a lot of, boxes he ticks. As a horse that could win this race, I think. Interesting that Marco Polo's entered. Obviously, very eye-catching last start in his debut race. And then, yeah, just it's just a competitive 2-year-old race, hard betting race. But yeah, I like Adaay of Scarlett, and he's going to come second again. All right, we'll go to the main race for Friday. I believe it's the Nunthorpe Stakes. It is the Cornwall City of Troy Nunthorpe Stakes, 5 furlongs, Group 1. Now, are we serious? Are we actually serious? How the fuck is Bacchio favourite for this race? Like, seriously. He won a handicap last start where, obviously, an American horse running in a handicap is a very, dramatic sort of, thing to happen. And he won by, fucking 3.75 lengths. But prior to that, he's just won some, random races. Like, I think they're on dirt. I'm not too sure. But, seriously, this is the Nunthorpe Stakes, a Group 1, where you've got the likes of Rayevka, Mission Central, Asphora, who won the race last year. Like, how the fuck is his horse favourite? I cannot understand it at all. I'm pretty sure Juan Hernandez is coming back out to ride for this race, which I guess is good. He knows the horse. Obviously got the best out of him last start at Ascot, but seriously, how the fuck is his horse favourite? I can't understand that for the life of me. And if you're backing it, what the fuck? Look at these horses that he's against. Seriously. All right, that's my little meltdown over Rayevka. This is the horse that I like for this race. Should be fine regardless of the ground. Obviously, these French horses, they race on slop quite a lot. And, one on soft ground, 2 starts back. So she's a really formidable horse. She ran the Alquoz sprint this year over 6 furlongs, which, I think they came to the conclusion that 5 is more her go. And that was proven last start. She arguably should have won the King's Stand Stakes. But Mission Central, Ryan Moore, they found the Golden Highway and they came flying down over the top as a 3-year-old with a weight allowance. So she's very good, Rayevka, and I think she's just so much better than Bacchio. Obviously, it's going to be a massive egg on my face moment if Bacchio wins this, and it's not winning this though. It literally is not winning this race. Rayevka's my pick here. I think she's really good. Second at Ascot last start, which is really elite form, and I think she'll be too good here. Obviously, you've got the likes of Asphora, American Affair. They've come out of Goodwood. Both ran very good races. Obviously, American Affair won, which was a bit of a surprise because we've kind of not really seen the best of him this year. And also Asphora, surprising from her too. She ran absolutely terribly at Sandown about a month and a half ago. And then she comes back to Goodwood where we're all thinking she's just going to retire. And then she runs a blinder, and now she's second favourite or third favourite for the Nunthorpe, a race that she won last year. So hopefully Asphora, for the sake of all Australians, she runs a good race and becomes a broodmare after this, and has some nice foals, that sort of thing. Mission Central going from 6 back to 5 absolutely stinks, but he's a bit of a 5 furlong specialist. This horse obviously won the King's Stand as a 3-year-old this year, which is just ridiculous. Really good horse, but 6 back to 5, I think it's going to be a bit of a shock to the system for him, to be honest. Pershada, same thing, 2-year-old running in this sort of race. It's going to be a shock to the system, as it is basically every year. We saw Lady E-Man running this last year, and it broke her pretty much. So I'm not sure why they're doing this. They should have gone to the Flying Childers at Doncaster in a few weeks rather than this, because it's so hard for these 2-year-olds to compete with these full grown beast 5 furlong horses. Just use a bit of logic, I swear. But Satono Rev is going to the 7 furlong race, I believe. Cover Up seems like a big price, to be fair. He won that Group 2 at the Curragh last start. Seems like a big price, but I'm not too sure. He's a 6-year-old. I like Rayevka more, better horse. And Time for Sandals, let's be honest, there was signs of life last start at Goodwood. She might run a big race, but I just think Rayevka's got that elite Ascot form. Arguably should have won. And because of Bacchio being favourite, we're getting a really good price for her. So, she'll be my pick for the Nunthorpe, Rayevka. Now, we'll go to the last day really quickly. It's a little bit tricky because obviously the final fields haven't come out. But I'll just talk about the City of York Stakes real quick. Obviously, last year was the first time it was run as a Group 1. It was won by Never So Brave, who was coming out of the Summer Mile into that race, which is a setup that I wouldn't have thought would have worked. But, it didn't. He beat Rosalien. He beat Marinoa Charlie, who went on to win the Foray at Longchamp a month after. So, it's a good race. Although, it's tricky too, because there's horses going from the Sussex Stakes back to 7 furlongs. I just don't like it all. Although, that was the formula for the winner last year, going from a mile to 7. But I don't know. I want to find a sprinter or a 7 furlong horse for this race. Zavateri, the way he ran last start suggests he'd relish 7 furlongs around York. Satona Rev up to 7 for the first time, which is really interesting. Although, yeah, I just don't think he's like really a winner, this horse. I just think he idles a little bit when he gets to the front, which is going to be even worse over 7 furlongs, I think. If you're going to idle a bit over 6 furlongs, there's less room for error. If that makes sense, it's a bit confusing to talk about, but I just think 7 furlongs is just, I don't know if that's really like suited for him. Now, this is the horse I would have had a bet on if he was going here. The Secret Adversary. He won the Prix Jean Prat at Deauville last start. Obviously, beat True Love, won a Group 1. And then he ran last night in the Prix Jacques Lemarois, obviously won by Rave. I was on Zeus Olympios, which was really painful because, Clifford Lee lost his whip in like the last 100 metres, which really sucks, but whatever. Besides the point, Secret Adversary ran like 5th, I think. He should have gone here. I think he's an absolutely perfect 7 furlong horse. I'm not sure why they were going to, experiment with a mile, I guess. No, I can't even think of a good idea. Like, they should have just gone here. Whatever. But yeah, some other interesting horses here, like Floor of Bermuda's definitely going to go here. Obviously won last start at Goodwood over 7 furlongs. But I don't know how good James Doyle is going at the moment. That's why I'm kind of a bit nervous to back Watnan horses, I guess. Now, this is the one I like at a price, Power Blue. He is a Group 1 winner as a 2-year-old, won the Phoenix Stakes. Maybe didn't really train on this year, but he won very well last start at the Curragh over 7 furlongs, which is the distance of this race. And I think if he gets a good draw, he could be a really big chance because, it's so important at York. So they're flying into that first bend and you can just get swung out. It's so easy to. I think Rosalien was drawn badly last year and it cost him. So, yeah, I think, Power Blue is going to be my value bet for this race. Based on the fact that some of these milers back to 7 furlongs, I don't think it really suits them, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, like, obviously it's kind of hard to tell. Like, if Power Blue might not even go, but I heard Keir Jarabshian say that he was going to the city of York, so I'm putting a bit of confidence in that statement. But yeah, hopefully, it should be a really good meeting. Hopefully the rain stays away a bit. Obviously, a bit of rain makes it interesting, but yeah, it should be really good. Hopefully Ombudsman wins. But yeah, obviously that's the highlight of the week, Ombudsman versus Constitution River. And I think Backyard is the shittest price I've seen in my entire lifetime looking at horse racing. So yeah, if you like this sort of content, like and subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you later.